Thank you. It's a great honour, and as Janik talked about before, to share the stage with such incredible people today, including the founder of our accounting firm has been amazing, but also Rod and Adele. I hope this means we now have this secret pact, silent pact, that you won't investigate our company after sharing this honour together, because I was terrified as you were talking. But no, what I wanted to do was just talk a little bit about the Who Gives a Crap story and what makes us special, and then share this one core lesson that we've learned over the journey. When I was thinking about the best way to do that, I thought the most logical place to start was to take you back to where my journey began about a decade ago. And I was thinking about changing lives. I realized pretty quickly that there was one life that was being left behind. I'm talking, of course, about the life of toilet paper. Now, what I realised is that toilet paper had been behind us every single day of our lives. And I felt that it was time that we all got behind toilet paper. And that's why I wanted to start a toilet paper company that uses its profits to help build toilets in different parts of the developing world. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this did actually all start because toilets are funny. And they're so funny they've got their own genre of human named after them, which not many things in the world can lay claim to that. But it turns out that toilets aren't actually that funny for, at least when we started, about 2.4 billion people who didn't have access to adequate sanitation. That number's come down a lot now, it's about 2 billion people today, but it's still the most off track of all of the development goals that we have in the world today. Now, I think this is a massive, massive problem. First of all, affecting a huge portion of the entire world, but it's also really devastating in terms of the negative health impacts that come from not having access to a clean toilet. I'm glad everyone has finished eating, because this next part is not usually a dinner party conversation. But the short version of this story is that unfortunately people go to the bathroom in water that's then used to cook, clean or wash, and that results in diarrhea-related disease, which is the number one filler of hospital beds in sub-Saharan Africa, and the number 2 killer of kids under the age of 5, killing about 700 kids under the age of 5 every single day. Now, we do truly know what the solution to this problem is. We have to provide access to adequate sanitation, to clean water, and to get education around why hygiene and sanitation is so important. There's a lot of research in this space, and it says that for every $1 that we're investing into sanitation, we see a $4 uplift in economic productivity, because now people are living longer and they're more healthy, so they're more productive. But we also see amazing things happen for things like school attendance rates, particularly for teenage girls, which has really incredible long-term economic impacts as well. And so when I heard about this incredible return on investment, this $1 in, $4 out, that was the real reason that I thought it made sense to try and start a toilet paper company that sells an environmentally friendly product here in Australia and now overseas as well, and uses half of its profits to help build toilets in different parts of the developing world. And for obvious reasons, I knew that it had to be called Who Gives a Crap. So as soon as I came out of the bathroom after having that idea and had washed my hands, I typed into Google, how do you start a toilet paper company? And figured out pretty quickly that the initial biggest hurdle would be our first production run, which was going to cost $50,000. I think I had about $700 in the bank at that point in time. But probably more importantly or more problematically, it would also give us 50,000 rolls of toilet paper. And that was enough to fill the share house that I was living in from floor to ceiling with toilet paper, which prior to 2020 would not have been a very desirable thing. But we realized that this was the perfect idea to try and crowdfund to see if we could find that $50,000 we needed, but also our first 1,000 customers. And so we set about to launch a crowdfunding campaign and realized very quickly that we were probably crowdfunding the most boring product ever. We are talking about toilet paper here. We weren't creating some new sexy piece of technology. And so we took a step back and said we need to do something a little bit different in order to get people's attention. And someone working on the campaign had the brilliant idea, which was quite unfortunate for me, that I should pledge to sit on a toilet until we pre-sold the first $50,000 worth of product. And so we set about to launch that crowdfunding campaign, not quite sure what was going to happen, but quite quickly got picked up by national television in Australia, national print in Australia, print in the US, and then went viral on social media, generating about 2.5 million social media impressions. And we became strangely popular in Brazil and Greece, and we're still not exactly sure why, but maybe new markets for us to look at in the future. And so we ran this very successful campaign, which was amazing, but once it wrapped up, we realized that something we knew that would be critical to our success had not happened. And that was that we didn't get any attention at all from supermarkets. Now, back in 2012, when we launched this campaign, 99.9% of Australia's toilet paper was sold through supermarkets. And so they're a pretty key piece of the puzzle if you're trying to figure out how to bring a new toilet paper company into the world. And so again, we took a step back and said, look, if we're going to be the world's first online toilet paper company, how can we think about our product differently in order to create a customer experience that's better than what you get when you buy toilet paper from the supermarket? And we realized we have to wrap our products in these big plastic bags with 10 or 20 rolls in them. Instead, we wrapped every roll individually in one of 5 fun, colourful, unique, well-designed wrappers. We put 3 red emergency rolls in the bottom of every box, so you know when you're about to run out, which solves the age-old toilet paper problem. And we set up a subscription service where we work with your household's unique usage, which is actually pretty predictable, in order to make sure that you would never run out of toilet paper again, because we'd ship you a box 3 days before you were going to finish your last one. And so we did all these things, and we filled up our warehouse with enough inventory that we thought would last us about 3 months based on our daily sales rate. And then started to send product out to our crowdfunding campaign supporters who'd waited really patiently for that moment. And then all of a sudden, without us doing any marketing or any advertising ourselves, as we started to send product out, we saw that our daily sales doubled from one day to the next, doubled again the day after that, doubled again the day after that. And after 5 days, doubling every day on the day prior, we sold out of that complete inventory that we thought was going to last us 3 months. And so we realized there was actually a little bit more interest in this, online toilet paper company called Who Gives a Crap than what we ever thought honestly would be possible. So in that time, we made our first donation to WaterAid, who were the main beneficiary that we were working with. And so on the 30th of June 2013, we wrote them a check for $2,500, which was a big milestone for us. It sounds like a small amount of money now, but a big milestone for us because it showed that the business model could work. We could sell product, get that into the hands of our customers, make a donation, and that donation would ultimately go to create impact. And so now we had to figure out how to scale that business up over time. So that first donation was a little bit over 9 years ago now. It's fair to say we've come a very long way since then, going from a team of 3 volunteers to now a team of 215 people, many of which are in the back corner over there. Now spread across 7 countries around the world, so we've got team members from the UK and Los Angeles here with us today as well. We've roughly doubled or tripled the size of the business each year for almost all of those 9 years. In the last couple of years going into the US and the UK, which became our fastest growing markets, and more recently into Europe. So we now sell more outside Australia than we do inside Australia. And as of June last year, we're able to take our total donations up to $10.88 million, which is something we're incredibly proud of, but I think even more excited to see the pace at which that number is now growing year on year, and therefore what it could look like in 5 or 10 years from now, as any good management accountant would think about. And so when I kind of reflected on the journey that we've been on and what I wanted to share tonight, I think the biggest lesson that came out of the last decade is that doing good is truly good for business. Now, what I mean by that is that I think we would not have been able to build a business that is the size that it's at today, but hopefully, going to have the success that it will have in the future if we didn't give away half of our profits. And that goes against the physics of capitalism that I got taught about at university. And so I think this means that we're now living in this post-capitalist version of the world where the way that people value the goods and services that they're buying is fundamentally different to how they did 20 or 30 years ago. And that makes me incredibly excited thinking about the potential innovation that will come in the next couple of decades that are in front of us. And so this award for me is very special because it actually, in many ways, celebrates the idea that you can innovate in your P&L to create social impact, and that this idea of doing good is good for business is really something that now is becoming recognised and hopefully going to be talked about more and more. So this is incredibly special because it's sort of the icing on the cake for that story that we've believed in for the last decade, and now we're really being able to show the world what's possible. So thank you very much.